After the interview, she learned the 6-month internship was unpaid, like charity, and hesitated. Out of 20 interns, only one would graduate, which meant she had to sell off the remaining 6 scanners in 6 months, just to barely keep herself and her son alive. Talk about a hustle. Chris went all in. Upon arriving home, she painted over Chris, "You're doomed," on the wall of Fresh Start. She embraced her new self, her wife-returned son at 8 p.m. Sweet yet bittersweet. Her wife's sister set her up with a job in New York. Though she hated leaving their son behind, this time her wife was dead set on leaving. It's funny how desperation breeds courage. Chris glanced at her sleeping son and decided to go for broke. The next day, they moved into a budget motel where the rent was cheaper than cabbage. At night, they played ball. Her son said he wanted to be an NBA player, but Chris shot back, like father, like son, you'll probably suck at basketball just like. She readily dismissed her son's dreams. He agreed, then tossed the ball lightning fast. Subtitles. Seeing her son's face filled with frustration, Chris realized that she had said something wrong. As soon as she finished speaking, she was so moved that her eyes brimmed with tears, and she couldn't help but exclaim, "How could life be so incredibly wonderful?" She successfully sold the scanner and dashed to the store to cash the check, feeling like she had just won the lottery. But her son was eyeing the snacks at the counter. Chris thought, why not buy one? But he wisely said, it's not worth it. His little wisdom felt like a kind reminder from a small heart, and Chris silently counted her blessings. Finally, the internship began, and the company immediately provided contacts of 60 Fortune 500 firms in the financial district. They were told to pull out all the stops to get these people to invest. The higher the performance, the bigger the chance of getting hired. Talk about cutthroat competition. During a break, Chris intended to buy snacks but met the homeless man who retrieved her scanner from the subway. She had to interrupt her chat with investors to chase after him. A good thing this whole drama ended up costing her nothing. She only lost a shoe. The driver wanted her to get checked out at the hospital, but Chris was in a hurry to return to work, so she walked into the office barefoot. During her internship, the manager gave Chris special treatment, always having her run errands, which was just laughable. Daily, she makes endless calls, takes the 4 p.m. bus for her son, crosses the city by subway, then rides bus 22 home. Life's an obstacle course. The caption reads, "The motel owner constantly urged her to pay the rent, but Chris would always keep procrastinating." 2 months passed quickly, yet Chris closed no deal. Her busy colleague sparked her bold idea. She decided to just call the CEO of those companies. Mason said he'd meet her right away, which made Chris go totally blank. Time was running out. She had to get there in 20 minutes. Ugh, so stressful. Chris was called to help park right after going downstairs. Turning cars were annoying. She struggled to find a spot but got stuck in traffic. She finally managed to find a parking spot, but in her eagerness to save a bit of time, she forgot to pay the meter. She dashed to the CEO office, only to be told he'd just left, thinking, I missed a lifetime chance. Opportunities are always fleeting, and Chris sulked as she collected herself. When she went back to grab her car, she found a ticket on her windshield. To talk about adding insult to injury. In order not to offend the manager, Chris could only play the victim. Over the weekend, Chris planned to visit the CEO again with her son, who was mesmerized by the beautiful houses around. The kids here sported faces full of happiness, but Chris felt nervous. Doorbell rang and the boss greeted her. Chris introduced herself, saying, "Sorry for missing yesterday's appointment." The boss politely stated that he didn't take it to heart at all, and there was absolutely no need to come and apologize specifically. Chris quickly spun a lie, claiming her call revealed the boss loved watching football, and since a game was on that afternoon, she invited him to meet later. Clever thinking. Chris always adapted rapidly when opportunities presented themselves, gaining the boss' trust and hopping into a sporty car. She met many top clients and finally got her chance during halftime. Chris earnestly introduced the company's business to the boss. Although they didn't close the deal, she earned his approval. A tough feat. In those 4 months of her internship, Chris finally sold off the remaining scanners, an impressive accomplishment. She had full confidence for the next 2 months, but life pulled a prank on her again. This day, Chris received a letter from the tax office. Due to multiple delays in tax payments, the tax office swooped in and drained her account. Felt like she was robbed. She had planned to use that money for rent, but confronted with the motel owner, she was left with little choice but to resort to all tricks. Now, as survival issue lay before Chris, sitting on a chair in a daze, when she suddenly spotted that homeless guy. Only this time, he successfully returned her scanner. Chris carefully wiped down the machine, as if polishing her future. Subtitled, she made up her mind to try being a salesperson for the very last time. Fortunately, a compassionate old doctor was willing to purchase her device, which was truly an unexpected delight. But fate seemed to tease her on purpose. While testing the machine, she found out it was broken, leading her to despair. Subtitles. Despite all this, her face was filled with an expression of unwillingness. When they returned to the motel, they found that they had been kicked out, with all the belongings thrown outside the door. It was truly a situation of double despair. Locks were changed and the windows secured. Chris felt utterly helpless, with no clue what to do next. "Open the door, do you hear me?" she called out helplessly. "Come on, open the door, can you hear me?" Stop. In order to keep her son from roaming the streets, Chris took him to the subway station.